I actually already had planned on attending that meeting that you have for this upcoming Saturday. I had it on my calendar like weeks ago, and all of a sudden, boom, Edgar Ortega is going to be my guest for today. I was pretty stoked. So anyway, I'm glad you guys have tuned in. And usually I give you a spiel about, how to become a member at KXVS. Someone just walked in. And what you can do to become a member is, you can log on to KXVS.org, and you can find the different tiers and membership there. Like I said, I usually read this whole thing, this administrative thing, but I'm not going to do that today. How are you doing today? Thanks for being at the station with us.
No, thank you for inviting me. It's good to be here on El Sabor Latino. Is that right? Is that right?
No.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to translate all my notes then back to English.
Good.
I think I'm on Sports Tonight.
No, I love Betty. Betty's gonna have one of my one of my favorite singers locally, Stevie, on Thursday. That's what he told me, but we'll see. Anyway, so Breaking Barriers with Art, our lunchtime show here, KXVS, from noon to 1. So what is going on with you, Edgar?
Well, there's lots of stuff going on. I'm sure this will be a fun hour for us. We'll probably be filled with shameless plugs and stories about my cat, and who knows what else. Who knows what will happen.
Super cute. I love your cat.
No, I'm here to talk about a few things that are going on within the Central Valley Herpetologist Society and with the dojo here in town. Yes.
So Saturday, it starts at, 7 o'clock?
Saturday, 7 o'clock at the Manteca Library. I'm going to be giving a talk on the relationship between snakes and humans throughout history, so it should be interesting for people. And there's going to be snakes there, and it's going to be raffled. And you could probably take a snake home if you went in a raffle.
Really?
Yeah, there's people there that breed them. A lot of the members of Central Valley Herpetological Society, they're like reptiles, and they produce them themselves.
Ooh. You know what? Sorry about that, guys. I was actually tuning into our live broadcast, and I was going to share it with everybody.
It's working.
On my timeline. It's working. That's good, right?
Yeah, it's on my timeline.
Awesome. Okay, so Central Valley Herpetological Society, how long has it been around, and how long have you been doing it?
I actually started it in 2011, and there weren't any herpetological societies around. There's a few in the Bay Area, lots in Southern California, all throughout the United States, but there wasn't any here in San Joaquin County. So I decided to get together with some of my friends, and we went and started it back in 2011.
That's awesome.
I ran it for several years as president. Yeah.
I think there's like this, I don't know, I know a lot of my friends are afraid of reptiles and snakes.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
Yeah, so I never was. I think it's because I basically grew up with it, and it wasn't a big deal to me. Like, I grew up with music, and I grew up with art. It wasn't a big deal. But I'm trying to get this out there so that, to educate people and to make sure that, there's really nothing to fear as long as there's, enough knowledge on how to care for the pets and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the things that, Central Valley Herpetological Society can provide is some information, your basic education on reptiles, right? Yeah,
it's great. It works both as education, and also there's, lots of dog-cat rescues and stuff like that. But we do reptile rescues too. So we'll rehome animals that need it and take care of them. We'll direct people to veterinarians. Because not every veterinarian is used to working with a giant python, right?
Okay, wait. Okay, you got a vet. What are the ailments of these reptiles? I mean,
the reptiles have specific care needs. They can be taken care of very easily. They don't require a lot of work, but they do need what they need, right? So if you have an exotic pet like a big python or something like that, you have to have the proper housing to keep the temperatures right. They need to be warm. If they're not warm, they can get sick. So they can get things like respiratory infections, mouth rot, things like that, external parasites.
Wow.
They can get tumors and abscesses just like anything else. And they'll need the same kind of medical care too.
So they take are you a vet?
No, I'm not a vet, but I did work at a veterinarian for way too long. Maybe more than 10 years in Manteca. So I kind of know what comes in and out with the dogs and cats, and you have to be a pretty specialized knowledge in the reptiles to take care of them. Yeah.
Okay, so when a reptile comes in and it's got a respiratory problem, for example.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you prescribe it medication? Do you put it through a steamer?
Yeah, a lot of times it's easily corrected with just fixing, the way it's kept. Sometimes it's being kept too cold or the humidity's not right. Some animals need more, some need less. But yeah, the vet might prescribe antibiotics, or and things like that. And it usually takes care of it. It's not too serious. A lot of things about reptiles is by the time they're sick, by the time you notice they're sick, they've been sick a long time. They have a slow metabolism, so they've kind of been sick for a while. So if you take care of them, though, you could avoid those sort of things.
See, and that's one of the things that I really liked about having a reptile as a pet, because with a snake, you toss a rat or a mouse in there every 2 weeks, and you just keep them. I mean, it's, to me, super simple.
You don't got to run to Costco to pick up a big bag of rats or something every day, right?
Yeah.
You can go on vacation for a few weeks and they don't care.
Exactly.
You just make sure they have water and everything.
Right.
They don't wake up the neighbors barking, and they don't have to deal with allergies.
Exactly.
No reptile allergies.
I think the one time I know someone who had a problem with their pet snake, and I guess it had really bad gas or something.
A snake with gas, yeah, okay.
No, seriously, I guess once it tried to pass it would make all kinds of funny noises and stuff, like squeaking and stuff. I didn't think that would happen. But
we talked about parasites and things like that. There's things that can cause problems in the digestion, Gotta fix that snake gas.
Snake gas.
Yeah.
Okay, so on Saturday you're going to be talking about how these reptiles, or mainly snakes, right?
I'm going to be focusing on snakes,
And humans.
And humans. The relationship between snakes and humans throughout history. People, like you said, people are scared of snakes, and there's a history that goes back to that.
Right. A long history.
Yeah, it comes from religion and events from the Bible. We'll talk about snakes in the Bible and how it's influenced people's thinking, as well as other places like in ancient Greece where they were seen as healers, so people saw them as quite positive things. And even today, they're saving lives. The venomous ones.
I think that's
Talk
awesome.
about that later.
Yeah. There's other at these meetings. Are we allowed to to bring our own pets?
Yeah, if they're healthy and and everything's good with them, and they're an animal that can be held and is comfortable like that you're comfortable holding and showing off to the people. You can bring them if they're healthy. Members usually bring them and they show them off, and they can have them there. Yeah, if you have a snake that's really cranky with a chainsaw temperament, probably leave it at home. But
right.
If you have a nice, people bring their geckos and things like that.
I've got a gecko. It's a little squirrely. It's the only thing.
What kind of gecko is it?
It's a crested.
Oh, crested gecko. Oh, yeah, okay. So they climb around. They might jump around. They jump around.
They like to jump. Just go like this. Little slinky
Yeah,
thing.
people like geckos. Some don't have eyelids, so they lick their eyeballs. People like
they
that.
do.
Yeah.
They do. And they have the cutest little toes.
Yep. A lot of people have leopard geckos at home. There's a popular pet. I got a friend of mine. He has a warehouse in the Sacramento area, and he's got thousands and thousands and thousands of leopard geckos. He produces them every year, and he does real well with it. Leopard geckos are cool. You can see right through their heads.
Really?
Their ear, they got a clear membrane. You just look through, you can see to the other side. Wave at yourself.
Nice. The last time I was talking to Jeff Porto with Shed Skin.
Yeah, he was here recently.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah. He showed, he was at the library over there at Maya Angelou Library, and he showed us a black snake from Mexico, and I'm like, I think that's going to be my next one.
Mexican black king snake, probably.
Yes. It looks like leather. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool looking. People love the shiny.
They didn't look real squirrely or anything either. They looked pretty docile. So.
Shiny black snakes, very cool snakes. Yeah, a lot of people have this.
Yeah. So, do you have snakes as pets at home?
I do. I've kept just about everything at home, from giant pythons to monitor lizards and to tiny little snakes and corn snakes, things like that. Real common stuff. My first ones were corn snakes. A lot of people get those first as a pet, but I've kept just about everything. Right now, my collection's real thin. I mean, I probably have less than 10 snakes now. I do a lot of, I like to do a lot of field herbing when we have time. So we go out, we actually go looking for them in the wild. So that's kind of more of my focus right now than keeping them as pets. But people at CVHS, Central Valley Herpetological Society, they do either one. They keep or they go out looking for them in the wild. A lot of photographers out there. So they go out looking for rattlesnakes in the middle of the night. Or in the
rattlesnake,
or in their winter.
Okay, that's not exactly what I had in mind. But no, actually, you know what? One time I went camping, and I saw a tarantula crawling around the campsite.
Yeah.
And I thought, does anybody have a box? Because I kind of want to take this bad boy home, right?
You found it walking around. Those are usually the males, yeah.
Yeah, it was a male. I took it home. I named it Princess. I wanted to put a pink tutu around it, but it was just so adorable.
No, the blue ones are males. Yeah.
But that was fun. So I can totally see the excitement in trying to find one out.
Oh, yeah, it's great, especially in the spring. The field herbers, they go flipping.
Right.
And then when it gets real hot, they go road cruising at night. So you go looking for them. You flip a rock, you find a beautiful snake there.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, of
Hopefully it's not poisonous.
If it's not venomous, you go ahead and grab it. Or you could leave it there and take a picture. People like to do that. A lot of people like to find them, grab them, pose them, make really beautiful photos with them. Other people prefer to just find them and leave them where they are.
Yeah.
And then they take pictures of how they were found in the wild. It's very cool. We go out in the desert. We had lots of adventures like that down in Southern California.
So after
Lots
Stockton
of fun.
Con, I'm going to head over to Manteca.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be in Stockton Con for Saturday and Sunday, David. I'm seeing if I can grab some interviews and stuff with some people there. But after Saturday, Stockton Con, I'm going to head over to Manteca and join these guys. How long is the meeting?
The meeting, it starts at 7, usually runs till about 9:30, and we close it there.
Okay.
Yeah, so the people hang out, and they talk, they chat, they take a look at the animals, they buy raffle tickets, and then I'll talk for a little while, maybe half an hour or so.
Sweet, sweet. So aside from your reptile stuff, there's other things that you're interested in, and this is what I thought was really cool, because we kind of have like this mutual, hey, cool hobbies, right? Reptiles and martial arts. Okay, so
yeah.
he studies Aikido, I study Kaji Kembo, and I think what we'll do is we'll probably take a break real quick before we get into that, and then we'll talk more about that when we come back. So we'll see you in a little bit. Hello, welcome back to Breaking Barriers with Art, our Spotlight on the Arts show for Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. here on KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM. And today's guest, as I mentioned before, is Edgar Ortega. He's with Central Valley Herpetological Society. Yay, finally got him in here. Before I talk to him, I wanted to bring up this whole rock movement, you know, Stockton rocks. they started this whole movement of painting rocks and leaving it in various locations throughout the city where people can find it, and they can post it on Facebook, or they can post it on Facebook and keep it and say, yay, I found a rock. But I painted this one. It says Breaking Barriers on it, as you can see. I've got 5 of these. And what I'm going to do, and by the way, I want to thank Eden Landscaping for donating those rocks. I thought that was pretty awesome of them to do. Eden Landscaping is in Lathrop. So I got a whole bag of them. And I'm going to, for this one, I have like 5 of these rocks. I'm going to place them out all throughout Stockton. Okay? And it's going to say Breaking Barriers. They're going to be numbered. So don't try and like make your own Breaking Barriers rock. Because what the thing is, what I'd like to do is have you come into the station or you know, anytime we can, you know, arrange a time. Because if you find one of these rocks, you'll get 2 passes to the Tracy Comics Show, which is happening in November. I'll also post this information on my timeline on my Facebook page. You can do a search for Jocelyn Conde, Conde, and you'll be able to find some information there. I'll try and make it a public post. And like I said, the Tracy Comics Show is November 4th and 5th. And at that same show, they are having the Tracy Reptile Expo. So this is a pass for, you're going to get 2 passes if you find one of these rocks and turn them into me. Okay, so the rocks will say Breaking Barriers with Art. And I'm going to start probably putting them out there next week. I mean, it's still early. You know, it's the event doesn't happen until November, but I think, because I've got like 30 of these or something that Jeff Porto, thank you so much for providing these passes. He's with Shedskin Reptiles, and you can log on to shedskin.net and find his information, the store's information there. So it'll be fun, you guys. And I'll post it on Spotlight on the Arts as well. David, I'll go ahead and post that information on Spotlight page as well, so that way people will know. So our guest, Edgar Ortega.
Are these rocks going to be anywhere? Just anywhere? Are they all going to be
anywhere? You know,
they'll all be on El Dorado Street. You guys got to look. Only at night.
I'll give hints too as to where they're at. You know what I'll do? I'll post pictures as to where, like, the surrounding area that I hid them, and then you guys will be able to find it. It's going to be pretty easy to find. I'm not going to make it like so difficult that you have to go through 3 wormholes. And
it's a little harder than Pokemon Go.
Yeah. So, yep. So, yeah, we were going to talk to Edgar about one of his other interests, which is Aikido. And
I thought we were going to talk about my cat.
Oh, yeah, you want to talk about your cat? Where'd you get that? Is that the hairless cat?
No. I was just kidding. No, he's not hairless.
Cat.
He's got hair. He just doesn't have the...
I want one of those hairless cats, those Egyptian cats.
Layer. Yeah, the Sphinx cats. You like this? No,
those.
He's a Devon Rex. He's a pretty cool cat. We like him. He's our Benjamin.
Let's see.
Oh, you got a picture of him?
I do. I hope.
Yeah, he's a cool cat. Actually, when I was working at the vet hospital, somebody dropped him off in a cage when he was a kitten, and with a note on him. And they said he needs a good home. I can't keep him. And he's a pretty fancy cat. This breed comes from England, and he plays fetch. He's super smart. There he is hanging around.
He has hair. So
you can see him.
Why was I thinking that he didn't?
Well, you know, when
hair?
we got him, he didn't have any hair, but he doesn't have that final layer of hair. So that's what makes him look a little weird.
He looks like crushed velvet.
Yeah, and that's what he feels like. So if you touch him, and he's super friendly, sleeps with us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of the cat.
Well, there'll be more cats.
There'll be more cat talks.
He plays fetch.
So, Aikido. I've been practicing Kaji Kimbo for 2 years. Actually, I took a break, 1 year break. And they're both completely different disciplines. Aikido's a little bit more formal, I would say. And then Kaji Kimbo's like a mishmash of different. It's like a mixed martial arts that's got karate, judo.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. Didn't it originate in like Hawaii or something?
Hawaii, yeah. The Palama settlement, where I guess at that time in the late 40s, there's all kinds of violence and uprising and gangs.
It's a pretty brutal art, isn't it?
It's pretty brutal. Yeah, but
maximum damage type thing.
It's pretty brutal. But I've always been fascinated with Aikido. I mean, my childhood crush was Steven Seagal. I mean, come on now. The guy was awesome. So, you know, his little moves, I mean, he just barely did anything. He just basically stood there and like redirected some of that energy towards the other person. So tell us a little bit about your practice and other things that are coming up.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Steven Seagal. He's actually he's kind of outside the mainline Aikido world kind of thing, but he's the most well known. So when people think about Aikido, they associate it with Steven Seagal. Yeah. And one of his students is actually coming to our dojo to give a seminar, and then we'll promote that too. But as far as Aikido goes, it is quite different than a lot of martial arts in that it is actually a martial art that's not about fighting at all. So if somebody were to throw a punch at you, you don't block it. You kind of you could deflect it and blend with it, and so use that energy and to end it to where both parties are ideally in a safe position.
Yeah.
So so the ideal of it is to not harm the other person, if you can imagine what that's like. So it's quite the opposite. Of course, things happen, but the idea is to minimize it.
Yeah. I think the last time I've been to. Last time I was at that dojo, there was a belly dance class.
New School Aikido here in Stockton.
Yeah, New School Aikido over on Fremont Street, right?
Yeah.
And the last time I was there, it was like years ago. I took a class in belly dance, and they do a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, they have other events at the dojo.
Location.
Yeah, they have that annual healing and health fair, and you guys were there, and I think there's a belly dancer there too.
Really?
Yeah, and actually one of you guys does a show on numerology. He was here.
Yes, Darius does. Yes, he's pretty awesome.
Granola-looking brother.
Yeah, he's cool. He's awesome.
Yeah, he was there.
And let's see. So, when is this thing that's coming up that you were saying? It's one of Steven Seagal's. What is?
It is one of Steven Seagal's students, and I just did an interview with him on my radio show, and he talks about that style of Aikido, and it's going to be September 9th and 10th at New School Aikido, and he's going to teach his own style, that style of Aikido, and it's going to be lots of fun. People can come. So if you like the Steven Seagal stuff in the movies, it's the same stuff.
So what style is that? When you say that style,
it's called Tenshin. So Tenshin Dojo Aikido.
Okay.
And so it is the style that Steven Seagal does. You'll see him do it in movies and
is it
on
his
YouTube
particular style only?
It is.
I mean, this is an old discipline.
Yeah, and he trained with the old masters and things like that, and then he kind of developed it. He cut the holes out of the techniques, and he did it more direct. So this is more for self-defense than a more traditional Aikido would be.
Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a little more direct. And it's quite effective. So if people want to try that out, it's very good. Aikido tends to be real soft in the way it's applied. Of course, there's no real punching or kicking, things like that. So you put people in the ground otherwise.
Yeah, I think
people like it though, because especially parents, because they don't want their kids getting punched and kicked necessarily, or they don't want the kid punching kids at school and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of philosophy that goes with it too. So people like it. If they don't, and me, I'm legally blind, so I can't deal well with.
I don't know how he's legally blind, folks.
I can see right in front of me like this. Trust me.
He's legally blind and he's doing martial arts.
That's why I do Aikido. Nobody comes punching in.
But yeah, so I was just thinking with
Kajukenbo,
a lot of the strikes and punches and stuff are just so direct and just to break a joint and to break your arm and stuff. But the forms are really nice to learn the forms. I mean, those are all our basics. So I think that's one of the things that I really enjoyed. And going in a competition, it would definitely be forms for me, because I'm not really a sparring kind of person, although I can probably do okay. But do you guys have competitions like that as well?
The funny thing about Aikido, there's no competition. There's no there's no sparring. There is some kind of movement and some styles that want to kind of add more kind of realistic kind of attacks to it to create some sort of sparring thing. But generally, there's no sparring. There's no competition. It's a lot of philosophy too, and the focus on it is quite effective. But like other arts, I do appreciate martial arts. I do really like jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, yeah.
I live in the Aikido house. I live in Aikido, but every now and then I'll take a peek over the fence see what the jiu-jitsu guys are doing. And sometimes I'll come over to the jiu-jitsu house and they'll invite me for dinner, and I'll hang out there a little bit. I haven't spent a ton of time there at the jiu-jitsu.
Where is it next door,
but I tend to hang
you
out,
guys, or is it near? Or
I'm being kind of metaphorical.
Oh, metaphorically
kind of peek over the fence.
Oh, there's one that my friend
where jiu-jitsu lives.
Yeah, my friend Jamie. Hi, Jamie. She's got kids that go to Nick Diaz's place over there.
Here in Stockton,
on Lower Sac. Yeah, I go in there and I watch the kids and everybody else, and it's like he just walks right in, says hello to everybody. But I see him all over town. Yeah, I mean, I see him at my gym.
Are you talking about Nick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's just all over the place.
He's all over the place. I follow his Instagram feed.
Yeah.
So he's posting videos from his hotel room.
Yep.
Or smoking a cig or something.
Yep. Or something.
It's a cigarette.
So there's really, there's different disciplines in martial arts. And I think that with Kajikembo, I think they did it out of, need with what was going on in Hawaii in the late 40s. Whereas with Aikido, it's more of like a tradition, part of a whole tradition from the very beginning in Japan, right?
Yeah, well, the founder of Aikido, his name is Morihei Oshiba, and practitioners refer to him as O-sensei. And he was a martial artist. He's very talented. He's very well known and regarded. And what he did after, he's in the military, all that stuff. So he's seen it all, and he could do it all. And then afterward, he wanted to kind of. You think of martial arts, they have you think of fighting, and then you think of the philosophy, right? The philosophy is usually martial arts is peace, right? But generally, somebody would think, how do I reconcile, violence with peace? So how does that work? That doesn't seem to make any sense.
Right.
And so he created or discovered, as he says, the art of Aikido, and so it's fighting without fighting.
How long have you been a student? Not
too long. I'm in my third year now.
That's great.
And so, but I've been pretty active. I train a lot.
Yeah,
I've been on there every day last couple of weeks. No, I wish I lived there. Actually,
you practically live there. You're there all the time.
No, there's programs where people can live at the dojos. There's dojos.
Yeah,
it's called an uchideshi, a live-in student. And you sweep the mat, take care of things, and then you study. So those are people that are really serious about it. A lot of dojos will have that, and it's a very traditional Japanese thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what we did too at our ohana. We had to, we taught the kids responsibilities and different philosophies and lessons of the day and different stories. So it's kind of like a whole teaching as well.
It's holistic. How you think of martial arts. All the MMA stuff is kind of ground and pound type things, and focusing on doing damage. But there's something to say about the martial arts. Those who truly take the time to study it, perfect it, master it, and at the same time understand why you're learning it.
Right.
Well, if you're learning for competition, that's another thing.
Yeah. I think for me it was more for when I joined, it was a summer program over there in Weston Ranch, which is in southwest Stockton. And I joined because it was more of a fitness thing, something different for me, because I kind of...
You get exercise out of martial arts, for sure.
Yeah, especially the kicks. Oh, my gosh. And the flying, spinning kicks and stuff.
Yeah. If you try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, first time I tried it, I almost threw up. and then I tried it at another place, and I told them I almost threw up my first time. They said, "See that trash can over there? I threw up in there 3 times." Yeah. So it's pretty intense.
It's pretty harsh.
You have to focus on your health, what you eat, things like that. You got endurance.
Exactly.
A lot of cardio outside of the dojo. Yeah. Even with Aikido, the standing, a lot of the ukemi, the falling, that takes up a lot of the energy too.
Yeah, you got to learn how to fall.
Yeah.
That's what I learned how to fall in Kajikembo because you got to roll with it, literally roll with it. So, yeah, it's pretty fun.
I'm sure you guys have several techniques where if you didn't roll, you would actually probably hurt yourself. While the focus of Aikido is not to hurt somebody, if you do some of these techniques, in a self-defense way, if you don't go with it or fall, you could hurt your wrist or your arm or something like that. Or
your tailbone, like what I did one time when I was roller skating. I fell.
Yeah. So. People say when they look at Aikido, they say, "Oh, it looks fake." Well, there is some cooperation with it, but that's just so the other person can continue to practice. Because if you break your partner's wrist every time, you're not going to be able to practice anymore.
Yeah, I think it's important for. I mean, I know that people say the same thing with me.
Point is to avoid that, of course.
When you guys are doing forms, does that really matter? Or actually, it's muscle memory, and if you remember some of these ways, for Kajikembo to block and to throw punches and stuff, it's just all like second nature after a while.
You call it kata?
Yes. Yeah, the katas. But there's I should know 7 or 8 of them by now, and so. It's been a year, but anyway. We're going to take a real quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk more with Edgar Ortega here with Central Valley Herpetological Society. See you in a little bit. Welcome back to Breaking Barriers with Art. I'm your host here, Jocelyn, with our Spotlight on the Arts series. Our lunchtime hour show on Wednesdays is Breaking Barriers with Art, 12 to 1. And once again, I want to thank Eden Landscape out in Lathrop to provide Breaking Barriers with these rocks that I'm going to hide. And if you find one, let me know. You can go on my Facebook page, Jocelyn Conde, and send me a message. And I'll give you a pair of these passes for Tracy Comic Show, which does not happen until November 4th and 5th. So, it's not... It'll be a little while, but at least, you'll have it ready to go. And again, I'm going to hide these little rocks all throughout Stockton. I will provide little hints and pictures as to where I've hidden them. And once you find them, let me know. So our guest today is Edgar Ortega. He is with CV. Why do I not know the acronyms? I have to say the whole thing, which is even harder to say. Central Valley Herpetological Society.
Herpetological Society. Yeah.
Okay. And they're having a meeting at Manteca Library on Saturday from 7 to 9. And we both share common interests in reptiles and martial arts, which is kind of cool. And she's sitting here catching up with him, talking to him. And actually, we've got some questions coming in from people. Let's see. This is from Axel. And his first question is, what is the most exotic snake that you've owned?
Most exotic snake? Well, exotic generally means it's not from around here, right?
I think so. Like an exotic car, like a Ferrari.
I've kept stuff from South America. The false water cobras are lots of fun. A lot of people have those as pets. But I really like the reticulated pythons. They're one of the largest species of snakes in the world. And there's lots of different beautiful colors of the snakes. And I've had there's one time where I kept them exclusively. And they're typically from Southeast Asia, Indonesia, stuff like that. But I've had about 12 of those at one time.
Nice.
That's a lot.
Have you ever been bitten?
Giant python. I've ever been bitten by snakes? Oh, yeah, all the time.
I have.
All the time.
That sucks.
Yeah, no. My cat bites me sometimes, or dogs bite me. Anything with a mouth can bite. I've been bitten, but it's nothing.
I've been whipped by a Nile monitor. That's
their tail?
It's painful.
Yeah, Nile monitors tend to have kind of a temperament.
That was my brother's
issue. Yeah.
My brother had Nile monitors.
Blame your brother.
And he's brought all kinds of stuff home.
A lot of those animals need a lot of room and stuff like that, so they get sometimes they get cranky. They are fun.
What got you fascinated and interested in herpetology?
Since I was a kid, I was going out in the agriculture fields. My mom lived with her aunt and uncle, and they did labor contracting out and where they do ag work. And so they'd hire all the people that did the work out there. So I'd spend my time out there in the ditches catching frogs, spiders, snakes, crawdads, stuff like that. So I've been doing, I guess, since I was a kid. And then in the summers, I'd watch lots of PBS,
Comes naturally.
Increase my reptile IQ.
Yeah.
And then when the cable came around,
even more so.
Yeah. Everybody had those little square black remotes back then. And you'd watch, Discovery Channel stuff like that. I think that's I was always into that.
It started with me too. Like, what was I catching? Tree frogs. Tree frogs were so much fun. We'd get buckets of tree frogs and bring them home. We'd go into.
Those are pretty plentiful everywhere.
Yeah.
You go in your backyard, you can find reptiles. It's lots of fun. That's part of it. Not just keeping them, but finding them out in the wild. You can really appreciate them for what they are out in the wild. They live out there. I mean, they're out there naked, surviving.
Yeah.
And some don't even need legs or arms, and they do all right.
Okay, this is a question about your martial arts background. What got you into Aikido, and what made you choose that over everything else?
I'd watch a lot of YouTube videos on different martial arts and things, and I really liked the form of it, how it looked when it was done. It's really beautiful martial art if you see two talented people doing it. It's quite beautiful to watch. Lots of circles, lots of spirals, and the idea of minimizing damage to people really seemed kind of contrary. So it seemed really, really interesting. And I'd see different people doing it. Usually people see something done and then say, hey, I want to do that. And so I guess that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm in my third year doing it now, and getting to the point where you start to look more like the people on the videos, but not quite there yet.
Okay. Your podcasts are very interesting. That's right.
I have
Edgar
a show
Ortega
too.
Has a podcast.
The Edgar Ortega Radio Show.
Yes, it's on YouTube. Why don't you go ahead and give them that information first before? I ask you the rest of this question? You can
sure.
find it on YouTube. I think it would do a search for it.
Yeah, you can search for Edgar Ortega on YouTube. And
probably a million of those.
They are. There are lots of Edgar Ortegas. There's Edgar, space Ortega. I'm Edgar Ortega, no spaces.
Space.
So Edgar Ortega, one word. Awesome. And you can find lots of interviews with people in the reptile world, as well as people in the martial arts world. I do kind of 50-50. And then I'll do topics on whatever I feel like. And recently I've been doing some topics on, or I want to do some topics on local things. So I interviewed some people here, doing some work with animals. Yeah. Anything with animals, martial arts. It's on there, and it's fun to talk to people.
I think the one that I thought was really cool was your podcast with the artist that does a lot of the snakes.
Oh yeah, Donovan.
He works in acrylics, right?
He did acrylics. It's Donovan Winterberg.
Awesome. Where is he from?
He's in the Midwest somewhere. I forget what he said. But I always see him on Facebook posting
specifically reptiles, right? Or just
he loves reptiles. He's kind of an introvert like me, but he kind of stays in the house.
Introvert.
I am.
That's like me, right?
No. No, but he does lots of beautiful artwork and logos and tattoo design, stuff like that. Yeah. I interviewed him. I interviewed Tom Crutchfield out in Florida. He's very well known in the reptile world. Breeds venomous snakes, known for that. Breeds crocodiles. We'll breed albino crocodiles and alligators and albino iguanas, everything you can think of. I've done an interview with Carl Person down in Loma Linda, and he did research on how venomous snakes are being used to develop all sorts of kinds of medicines that are saving lives.
Jeff Porto had mentioned something about that, but we didn't get a chance to talk about that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talk about in my presentation this Saturday at CVHS. But basically, there's several.
Yeah, but he's got one. And one of the things that I've actually been thinking of is getting a tattoo of a moth.
I think you're going to get a moth.
No. If I get a moth, I would pin it to the wall.
Silence of the Lambs at your house.
That'd be funny.
Hey, you can get those too. You can get the pinned one.
So he's got a really cool tat. You should show that.
I don't know if they can see it, but
I don't think they can.
It's mixed up with the octopus.
Right there. I want one of those. I'm going to get one of those.
It's a death head moth.
Yeah, the death head moths. So let's see. There's another question. Let's see. Your podcasts are very interesting, What got you into doing them? And has anyone told you that you kind of sound like Adam Carolla? I don't know who Adam Carolla is.
You don't know who Adam Carolla is?
You told me earlier, but go ahead and for those that don't know who Adam Carolla is.
No, I don't think I sound like him at all. I might look like him. I got kind of the thick eyebrow like he does, but no, I don't think I look like him. All right, I do look like him. I don't sound like him.
Has anyone told you that, though?
No.
The first time?
No, you know what people tell me I look like is Javier.
You're the first person that mentioned that, Axel.
People tell me I look like Javier Bardem, that guy from No Country for Old Men, that scary guy. I don't know if you've seen him, but you should see me in a wig. I
don't watch TV. I think so I don't watch TV, you guys. So if you ask me anything about any commercials or any shows or anything like that, I wouldn't know. The only things that I do watch are like on Netflix or HBO. I watch Game of Thrones, specific shows.
So you don't have okay.
Specific shows.
You don't have cable, you watch it on Netflix.
Or we got Dish, but I mean,
we got rid of ours. There's all this cable and we never use it. Yeah. We watch 2 channels. And we're on Netflix the rest of the time. Only
2 that are good.
Well.
Yeah. So let's see, Game of Thrones. I like watching this really cheesy show now called Claws, which is about like all these manicurists and nail technicians that get themselves in a lot of trouble. I like watching Queen of the South. Those are like the funky shows that I watch. But anyway.
They pass the time.
Yeah.
It's fun to binge every now and then. You find a good show and you just spend the rest of the day watching it.
Yep. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for me? Because he says like his own podcast. He's probably used to asking deep, questions that are like, don't ask me any crazy questions because I might be able to answer.
These all pop trivia questions. Everything you might find on a TV show.
Yeah, actually. Oh, let's see.
How'd you get into reptiles? You asked me. Why do you like them?
I started getting into reptiles in my late teens. I was looking for a pet that I could have in a small apartment.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and that's all I had. It was like my apartment, and I couldn't have a little dog. They didn't allow dogs, and if I had a cat, I had to, pay extra or something like that. And so I really liked the patterns on the snakes. So I started with a ball python, which was probably the most docile snake out there. They're just nice little snakes.
You just curl up in a ball when they're scared instead of biting.
And it was like about this big. And I had it for years until, like forever, years and years until it just got old. And my brother also at that same time started getting into reptiles, but he was still living with my mom, and it drove my mom nuts. So
my mom did not like him. I couldn't have it.
Yeah, my poor mom. I feel so, oh gosh, my poor mom. Yeah, he had like geckos and the iguanas and the monitors.
Yeah.
And tegus.
Yeah. Ball pythons are fun. A lot of people breed them, and you might be surprised the price tags on some of those. I mean, it was a while back. I had a snake that went for $100,000 online. It's pretty wild. It didn't cost that when I got it.
Yeah.
I actually won it in a contest, and it went for about $2,000 at the time. But people say, "Oh, this snake costs $2,000. You get a pink one and a blue one, you put them together," and then they think, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, you know, it's really
sell
cool.
These, you know.
From back then, when I lived in the Bay Area, I used to go to East Bay Vivarium over there in Berkeley to get all my stuff and
it's a great
all
place.
Their food and all that stuff. But at that time, they didn't even have the same. I think they got like different morphs and different patterns now. From like, you know, the mid 90s to now, there's huge variances in patterns now, especially with some of the pythons.
Last few decades, it's changed like crazy. It used to be, the internet changed it a lot. You used to be able to go to the pet store, and then a lot of times they'll have wild-caught animals in the store, and they'll sell them. And then when private breeding started getting popular, you know, of course, you pay a little more for a healthy animal, and those produce more of them. And when they started producing different morphs like albinos, Bob Clark produced the first albino Burmese python, and you know, he sold it, and he sold them all, and he made more money than he did with his whole business the previous year. So so more people started doing that, and you see a lot of captive bred animals. These are animals that are bred in captivity. A lot of people talk about, why do you have reptiles? You know, well, breeding them in captivity actually takes a lot of pressure off of those being collected out in the wild. So why have a sick snake that bites that you took out of the wild when you can have a healthy snake that's you know, accustomed to being in captivity? They do quite well.
So we're going to wrap up the show here soon.
Already?
I know. It's already 1. Can you believe that? I could sit and talk to Edgar all day, but you know, come join us on
get all our plugs
Saturday night. Yeah,
Manteca Library.
Manteca Library.
7 o'clock.
Geek out with us on reptiles, man.
Come see some snakes.
Yeah, and
come learn some Aikido on September 9th and 10th at the dojo. New school Aikido.
Yeah.
Come down anyway. Come down anytime. I'll toss you around.
So let's see. I'll be at Stockton Con on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, I'm going to have my friend Lisa with me, and she's supposed to be dressing up as Jessica Rabbit. So come join us. But after Stockton Con on Saturday, I'm going to head over to Manteca and meet with the guys at CVHS. All right, we're going to go ahead and close the show. You have any other things?
That was lots of fun. I'm going to go out looking for those rocks soon. When you put them out there.
Yeah, don't forget those rocks. I'm going to put the rocks out.
Sanctioned graffiti.
I will also post some stuff on my timeline, my personal timeline. If you want to find me on Facebook, I'm Jocelyn Conde. I also go by Zelyn, Xelyn. You'll find me on Instagram also as Zelyn. You'll find me anywhere as Zelyn. I even own the URL.
Are you dressing up at Stockton Con?
No. No. This is how I'm always dressed. I should probably put like a cat suit on or something.
Interview Wonder Woman or something.
You know, there's going to be a million Wonder Womans at Stockton Con, like all different shapes and sizes and ethnicities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be a whole bunch of them. So that's going to be kind of fun. I'll pose next to each one of them. Yay. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Breaking Barriers, noon to 1 on Wednesdays. Bye.